Hello everyone, my name is Zigdot and I am here with a game that you have probably already seen, namely Diablo 3. More specifically, I am here with gameplay of the Monk class, a level 10 monk in question, and the reason that I chose this class is simply because it is interesting to watch, and in my personal opinion it is one of the most interesting classes in the game currently. I haven't played too much of the game yet. I'm about 1.5 hours in on this monk and 5 hours in on another character that I have, so I guess you could call this kind of a first impressions video, although I do have a couple of hours into the game already, so I have a bit of an understanding of how it works. Now, the angle at which I come into this game is basically I haven't played any of the previous games, and all the lore that I know is simply from reading the Diablo wiki for about 2 hours before the game was actually released. Now, so far the story is incredibly interesting. I must say I'm actually compelled to play more of the game to discover the story. And the combat itself, while some people would call it nothing really special, it is good, and most likely it is very visceral, which you will see in just a moment. So I'm going to show a little bit of gameplay here from Act 1, namely Chapter 3 of Act 1, and without further ado, let's get right to it. And here we are. This is the town of New Tristram, which is the main town area in the first act. Now, as you can see, it has all kinds of commodities. So, for example, you have your blacksmith and salvage over here to forge different weapons. You have a merchant, of course. You also have Deckard Cain's house and an inn. Now, the inn itself doesn't play a really important role, although one quest starts from there. There are a couple of interesting dialogue options inside, and of course also the innkeeper, which sells the health potions. Now, without further ado, I am going to start right off with our quest here. Yes, we are on a quest, and that would be to regain the crown of the Skeleton King, so that we can actually defeat him and process further down the cathedral. So let's talk.
The Skeleton King was once our beloved lord, Leoric. He was driven mad by Diablo's evil. He lost both of his sons and his very soul before he was finally defeated. Now it seems he's risen to plague this land once again.
Nonetheless, the Skeleton King bars my path to the fallen star.
The key to defeating him lies in his old crown. Seek out our blacksmith, Hadrig. He knows of its whereabouts. Leah, you should not dismiss the signs so lightly. Do you not believe the evidence of your own eyes?
Horrors have visited Tristram before, and it endured.
But what of the texts? The Zakarum tomes warn of a falling star. The Herodric scroll spoke of the dead rising, and the Lord of Lies, the prophecy of the end days, says that at the end of all things, the first sign shall appear in the heavens.
Yes, you've been telling me about the texts since I was 8 years old, Uncle. I just don't think we should read too much into them.
As you can see, a pretty interesting story and also quite good voice acting. Now, before we leave on our quest, I shall take a little bit of time to actually show you the skills that we will be using. So I'm a level 10 monk, and This means that we have our primary, our secondary, defensive, and technique skills unlocked, at least a couple of them. So the primary that I will be using shall be Fists of Thunder, which is a rapid 3 combo attack, as I would say, with 2 light attacks and then a heavy attack that does knockback and a little bit of AoE. I have this upgraded with the Thunderclap rune that allows me to teleport and release an electric shockwave with every single punch. Pretty awesome stuff, I can assure you. Now the secondary skill I use is Lashing Tail Kick. This is the very first one you unlock. It costs 30 spirit and unleashes a deadly roundhouse kick that is effective against small groups of enemies, basically your AoE ability. And it is upgraded with the Vulture Claw Kick rune that will release a torrent of fire and cause more knockback, which absolutely knocks people across the room with the increased knockback of this. Very nice skill to use, especially in conjunction with the teleport of Fists of Thunder. Now the defensive skill is nothing really special. Blinding Flash, it just blinds nearby enemies for 3 seconds. I prefer this over Breath of Heaven because if you blind in the middle of a group of melee enemies, you can usually kill them before the blind ends, while with a heal they will just continue to flail upon you. As you can see here, Breath of Heaven is just a heal for yourself and nearby allies. Then the technique is Dashing Strike. I've only just unlocked this, which is a quick dash to strike an enemy. It is pretty interesting, although I usually do not use it simply because I already teleport to my target with Fist of Thunder and it is more damaging to finish off that combo. I usually just use Dashing Strike to get through a group of enemies. Now, without further ado, let's start with our quest. We need to head to the blacksmith Hedrick and speak to him to find out the location of the crown.
Old Rumford has us down to half rations.
You can hear a bit more of the incredible voice acting of this game, and here is Hedrick. Let's talk to him.
Blacksmith, Deckard Cain said you could help me find the crown of Leoric.
Not now. It's my wife. She's locked in the cellar like all those who've been bitten. I'm to put them all down. But how can I kill my own wife?
It is regrettable, but it must be done. I will help you.
Thank you. Follow me.
A pretty horrible story, as you can see. And fear not, it shall get a lot more horrible here. Well, that's promising, and it's already damned. Alright then, let's do it. As you can see, pretty awesome stuff.
My friends, I'm sorry.
This must be done.
My love, forgive me.
Hedrick, help me.
I couldn't have done this without you. I'm in your debt. My name is Hedrick Aemon.
As it happens, I am looking for King Leoric's crown. Perhaps you know of it.
I can help you there. It's buried with his Chancellor, my grandfather. You'll find his tomb in a cemetery in the Weeping Hollow. And if you see my fool apprentice out there, tell him to get back to town.
As you can see, that was quite awesome. Now, that was just a couple of weak zombies, of course, nothing challenging, but it still shows off how fluid and actually the impact that the monk class has. I mean, I have played a demon hunter, which is a pretty cool class, but the monk actually has some impact to its attacks, as in you can punch stuff and it will actually explode with lightning surging out of it. I do not know why his fists are electrified, but it's best not to ask, I would figure. Now let's push right on through the northwest gate into the Weeping Hollows.
There's a big pack coming this time. Stand your ground!
Oh damn.
That's the last of them. The bridge is clear.
Well, that wasn't exactly something to be worried about now. I don't know who hired those town guards, but they should do a better job. Now, if I was actually playing this on my own, I would explore this area, but I decided that it will already take long enough just by pushing straight to the quest itself. So we're going to stick to the road, just follow it and see where that'll take us. Couple of hungry thirsters there, nothing too dangerous. Now this I will go out of my way for. As you can see up there, that is a unique monster. It is named and it has these special attributes for it. Now this means that it's quite a fair bit stronger than its normal counterpart, and we also have some better loot. So we've got to be careful.
You are defeated!
Pretty cool stuff. Let's see what we actually got from our kill. That is quite a fair bit worse than what I already have, but still nice nonetheless. That is a magical item, so that means that it can be salvaged for magical components, with which you can craft better here at your blacksmith. Now, this is perhaps a good time to talk a bit about the actual setting of the game right before we arrive at our quest area. I mean, some people are saying that it's not as dark as it should be, but personally I believe it is pretty damn dark. I mean, it's certainly out there. It is not a happy game. You are not the righteous hero, as I would say. I mean, you are a hero, but through this we are killing the deceased beloved ones of Tristram here, not exactly a holy quest as I would call it. So let's head on into the cemetery of the Forsaken. Not a nice place, as you can see. Oh great, there are corpses crawling out of an abyss. Exactly what I wanted to see. Not to fear, nothing that a little roundhouse kick can't fix. This is perhaps the most awesome thing about the monk. He carries his weapons, but he doesn't use it in combat at all. It is kind of like a ring, I guess you would it could be compared to, as in it's just a decorative item for the monk. He just carries it around because he is that badass, and then he punches his targets in the face anyhow. Pretty cool stuff. Right, we have arrived at the cemetery of the Forsaken, and this is a perfect place to talk a bit about randomization. As you can see, the waypoint is right here. So there is random generation in the game, and up until this part in the game I would personally say it's not really noticeable. There are slight areas that get turned around, but for the most part it's the same. But here you actually have a pretty good example of the random generation, because there are a couple of tombs scattered around this area. We'll look for one just now. As you can see, there's one over there, and then there is another one down here. Now, these tombs aren't always here. For example, I came across here earlier and this one was closed. Now, the crown is in one of these tombs and it's also randomized, so you could get the crown on your first tomb that you explore, or you could get it on your final one. And from what I've seen, there's never any more than 3 tombs, but I don't know about this for sure. I haven't played enough of the game to actually tell that. So let's explore this crypt and let's hope that the crown is actually in here. Otherwise we might need to go back and sell stuff at the town, because inventory is pretty big, but you'll end up going back to town and selling a lot, which actually up until you complete this quest is quite a pain, because the town portal ability, as you can see right here, it works as you'd imagine. You teleport back to town, and at town there will be a portal that will teleport you back to where you actually casted it. So that makes selling quite easy, but you actually only get town portal at the end of this quest, which I don't know why they did that, but I presume it is to pace the game a bit. As you can see, a couple of skeletons are no problem for the monk whatsoever. I think the most interesting thing about the monk is that his combat is very fluid and very dynamic, I guess I would call it. Simply because you are moving around the place, you are knocking people back with uppercuts and then teleporting to them and basically punching them in the stomach, causing them to explode. So there is a lot of movement involved, more so than the barbarian, I would say. I mean, look at this, they're running away, I just teleport and punch in the back of the head. How awesome is that? I'll just shut up for a little bit now so that you can actually hear the noise of the combat and see how it works out. Pretty cool stuff, right? Now, as you can see, these enemies are of course not that much of a challenge. That would be because we are normal difficulty, and the other difficulties really boost up the damage of these things and also their health. But so far I'm just 1 to 2 shotting things, and that is because I am solo and normal difficulty, so nothing that difficult. Bosses still take a fair bit of punishment, but it's nothing to really worry about. Normal is really this kind of mode that anyone I believe could complete, because I have my use 4 skills, but I don't need to use all of them, because I can simply spam Fists of Fury and win. Now this might put some people off, but it's pretty nice that this mode actually exists in the game, because it allows you to get through the game, possibly experience the story that's all you're interested in, without too much difficulty, and of course it allows you to try out a character and see how its combat actually works out. Now, no sight of the crown just yet. Some people think that we might be in the wrong tomb, but you never know until you actually get to the end. This game's not really a big danger, as you can see they die in 1 hit and they just kind of run around. They'll only attack you when you turn your back to them. And I have no idea what this is. Yeah, this is another thing with the random generation. As you can see, I've never actually come across this room before. This is pretty interesting. A jar of souls. That doesn't really seem all that promising, but well, let's give it a go, shall we? Oh god. Oh god, this is bad. Ah, shit. So this is an event, as you can see. Basically in the game you have your main quest and then you have events which are side quests, you would say, but you are not guaranteed to come across them because they are randomly generated like everything, and this is rapidly becoming increasingly chaotic. I'm not sure I'll survive this, but let's hope for the best. So at least gives me a good chance to show off the other abilities. That was a blinding flash right there. Everybody is blinded and can't do well that thing. Let's stay alive. Yeah, we made it. Massacre 68 monster skill, that is what I'm talking about. That is what the monk is all about, killing large groups of enemies very, very quickly as he destroys this goddamn trap. And as you can see, you got a reward there, or standard XP and gold for completing the event. So pretty much just a quest, but the kind of quest that you stumble upon and don't pick up in the town. So far I've not really seen any quests that are given out into town except the actual main quest, which is a very good thing. Now, I don't know whether it is the same way that the other games did it, because as I have said before, I haven't actually played any of them, but I would assume that it is. There are also a lot of destructible objects around the place, and in something that I don't think that I'll be able to show it, but something that I really like is there's actually a record, as in destruction, which keeps track of most objects destroyed within a certain time frame. So there are actually records for that, and if you improve your own record you get experience for that. It's pretty awesome. Oh, and this is very nice. You can see there is a treasure seeker here, which is a tiny little goblin carrying a large pack of gold and items, and he will actually run away from you. If he manages to break line of sight, then he will disappear. It's kind of like the one of the special infected in Left 4 Dead 2, which also had a couple of goodies and would disappear when he broke line of sight. So the idea is really to chase him down and punch the ever-living shit out of him simply so that you can get the goodies that he carries, which are usually quite alright, at least for how weak he turns out to be. Although he can rapidly turn a normal exploring of a dungeon into a frantic race where you are chased by massive amounts of monsters simply because you have all aggro. Now another unique mod you can see here, which I'll make sure to work with him. We are not at all impressed by his two-handed sword, nope. And as it would seem, I am back at the entrance, so I actually took a route back. It's also interesting in the design of their dungeons, there are usually multiple routes that you can take through them. Now, I personally always try to explore the entire dungeon. Obviously, I'm not doing it here simply because it would take too long. But there are goodies to find there. It's not always worth your time, but assuming that you can sell everything, it is still quite a nice thing to do. And of course, you get to see everything. So I believe that the way ahead would be over here.
The clown is not here. I must search one of the other crypts.
So indeed, the clown, as he said there, is not in this script, so we'll have to explore the other two, and let's hope that's actually in the next one we pick. Otherwise I will try to cut out that footage and actually only show the crypt which actually contains a crown. So let's go in here and see what happens. Now, as you could see right there, those were blue mobs, as I guess you could say, and the idea about them is that they are not unique mobs, but they are unique enough to actually have a defining characteristic to them, which is also randomized in some cases. So those three wretched mothers that we killed there, which are the ones that spawn zombies by actually puking them out, once again not a happy game. They can actually teleport around the place because they had the teleporter attribute assigned to them, and teleporter is kind of annoying. As you can see, this here is a boss teleporter, and what that will mean is that any minions actually tied to the boss will also have his characteristics. So perhaps, as you could have seen there, the minions actually is a teleporter minion. Now what that means is they themselves don't have teleport, as they do have teleport, but they shouldn't have it. The only reason they have it is because there is the boss which also has teleport. Well, that was a short little crypt, sadly no crown just yet, so at least now we know for sure in which crypt the crown is. It's actually funny because up until now I have always found the crown in the second crypt, so it's obviously that is not guaranteed. And this is a shrine, an enlightened shrine as a matter of fact. Now shrines you come across in the world, they're also semi-random generated. I presume that there are certain points and that the game just decides whether there should be a shrine there or not. And a shrine basically gives you a buff, in this case plus 25 experience, and there are all kinds of buffs. There are buffs that increase your attack speed, that reduce damage taken, that increase the golden magic find, all kinds of things, and you can also get multiple buffs if you come across several shrines within a short time span.
I'm carrying too much.
Something that I'm noticing as a monk, and this is perhaps true for the barbarian as well, is that those spawn points, and those are guys with knockbacks that I heard too badly. Anyhow, the spawn points, I guess you could call them, where skeletons kind of crawl out of the ground, they're kind of bad against a melee class, simply because you do so much damage so quickly that they are guaranteed to be dead before they even get out of the ground, which is, well, not very challenging at all. Now, as you can probably see here, my inventory is full. Now, normally I would town portal back and sell stuff, but considering that I would take a little bit too long, I'm just going to throw away something useless and then pick up the blue items, and that'll be that. Now, most of the white items aren't actually worth that much, but when I play the game on my own, I actually take a lot of time to actually loot and sell every single item, simply because that is how I like to play these kinds of games. It's actually a little bit sensitive. As you can see, there are bats, because they are flying creatures. They can actually pass through, well, not really pass through terrain, but they can fly over differences in height, which makes them kind of dangerous because they can easily come up behind you and cut off an escape that you would have liked to take, for example. This would seem to be the correct crypt, at least, and this also, I presume, confirms that there are not actually the possibility of having 4 crypts at a time, or perhaps there are, I have no idea, but as he said there, indeed, the crown is near. So we are now in the second level of a crypt. Quite a grim area, as you can see, just corpses everywhere and human ash, not very nice. Now let's just push on and see what. Dead end? What? Oh god. This is bad. Oh my, what the hell is that? Shit. As you can see, this thing here has knockback, which is a pretty dangerous thing if you actually have a knockback can really screw you over.
I must lessen my burden.
But in general, not really a danger. Especially not if you actually take a lot of potions with you. So let's head on down to the Chancellor's Tomb, which is the final area of this little quest line where you actually get the crown of King Lorik, and after that it is just back to town and, well, just to the again. Well, that's rather easy. You're just going to let us take the crown and walk out of here, or what?
No, I will not allow you to bring that monster Leoric back to this world.
If you're hoping to see great gameplay here, don't expect that. I just knock him into a corner and continue to wail at him. Works just fine. I presume it's going to bite me in the ass later levels, but so far it has worked just fine and no problem whatsoever. As you can see, for the quest right here we get Town Portal. We of course already had Town Portal, but I'm not sure why they would give it at this point, because playing while exploring everything so far has usually... It takes at least an hour and a half to get to this point of the game, which seems pretty late to actually get Town Portal. I mean, there I haven't really had any problems with loot just yet, as in not enough room to carry them, but I do tend to have to throw away a couple of items, and I find that Town Portal is really an essential skill to have in a game like this. So we have the crown, all we need to do is talk to Hadric about it, and well, let's do just
You
that.
found the crown. Truth be told, I didn't think you'd make it back alive. Ah, it needs repair. Should be no problem. It's good to work again. There. New as the day it was placed upon the Black King's head. I need something more than making spades to occupy my mind. I want my life to mean something.
As you should. You will craft for me weapons with which to carry out my sacred duty.
And as you can see right there, that is the actual blacksmith unlocked, because I already had him unlocked because I already did this quest, and the blacksmith is account wide, so all of your characters have access to the blacksmith and his current level, which I will show right now. As you can see, you can upgrade your blacksmith to gold, which I shall do just now, which allows him to craft more gear. As you can see, a Master Grim wand there, which is a rare item, pretty powerful. Now, the good thing about this is that you can of course guarantee good gear for new characters, kind of guarantee at least, and that's a pretty nice thing to do because you don't always want to start out from scratch. Now that was that for the quest here. The next part is where we actually take on the Skeleton King, but that shall be for another time. This was Zigdote with Diablo 3, and I'll see you next time.